I could ask a question to Simon actually, and just say what sort of things would you hope our delegates, receive or get out of the forum over the next 2 days?
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shannon. Yeah, look, we're going to jump into this in a little sec, but I do think we are confronted with an incredible opportunity right now. And I actually think back to when this all kind of started in Australia back in mid-March, and literally I think it might have been the first or second week of lockdown, and I got asked by a client of mine that I did some work with last year. So I kind of am a professional speaker, I'm a futurist. I'd done some work with them and they asked me to come on their podcast that they had just launched for their internal employees. And this podcast was kind of to help them navigate this kind of massive change that was happening around the workplace. And it had the most beautiful title. This podcast was called Everything is Temporary. I thought, that's so cool. This kind of, it kind of really captures the essence of this moment where we're in this place where everything feels really temporary. And I was thinking about this and what I might like to talk about. And what I actually landed on, what I really want to talk about was not what was temporary, but what wasn't. What was it that we were experiencing in these moments that we hope doesn't change back afterwards? And I'm going to ask you in the audience to participate in this. You'll notice there's a little chat box just to the right-hand side of your video feed. I'm really interested to know, what have you experienced over the last 6 months that you really, really hope isn't temporary? And this could be something that's professional, or it could be something that's personal. And this is going to be a bit of a theme that we'll explore over the course of a couple of days. It's been a question that I've been asking a number of the speakers in preparation for the event. So if you could just write in that chat box, what are the things that you've experienced, either professionally or personally, that you hope aren't temporary, that you hope doesn't change back? Because there's been all this talk about a shift to the new normal. And I kind of find the whole thing a little bit uninspiring. Like, who wants to aspire to normal? It feels like we're aspiring to get a C in maths. Why not aspire to an A+? Like, why not aspire to doing something really off the charts better than what we had before? While you're writing that, I want to share with you what my response to that question was on the podcast. And there was 3 things that I came up with. The first thing that I really hope doesn't change back was this incredible explosion of trust that emerged between kind of employers and employees and between managers and staff. Suddenly, all these people were sent to work from home, and the old management style of, kind of managing by attendance or looking over people's shoulder to see what they were doing, it didn't really work anymore because, you weren't co-located. And, we had to trust people to go and do their jobs. And I remember reading a number of articles at the time of leaders who were pleasantly surprised that when they give people the opportunity to be trustworthy, that they were trustworthy. And I kind of think this is a really interesting dynamic around trust, because if we don't give people the opportunity to be trustworthy, then they can't actually prove their trustworthiness. I'd tell that's a little bit of an aside, but I actually don't lock the door on my car for pretty much ever. So if you're kind of down my way and you see a little yellow Citroen parked on the side of the street, guarantee you that the doors are not locked. And personally, I don't lock my doors because I like the idea that when I go back to my car and no one's stolen it, it kind of just reinforces about how everyone around me is actually really trustworthy people. So yeah, this first thing was, for me, was this explosion of trust. I really hope that that doesn't go back. I hope that we manage to keep that forever. The second thing was this incredible growth and acceptance of innovation. And this forum is an excellent example of this, is that suddenly this kind of willingness to try new things existed on both sides of the innovation dynamic. And the innovation dynamic requires both people to pursue innovative ideas, but also requires people to accept the new ideas that are being put forward. And on both sides of that, we encourage people to try new things. But then on the other side, people were really accepting of the changes that was made. And again, as I said, I think that this is a beautiful example of that. It would have been very easy for Shannon and the team to just postpone until next year. That would have been the safe thing to do. Let's just go back to holding the event again at the Melbourne Exhibition Centre in 12 months' time. But that would have been a missed opportunity. It would have missed opportunity to test and try new things, to experiment and find out what else we can do. And as we're going to find out, there's actually so many beautiful benefits of taking an event online. There's obviously things that we're going to miss. I think we all miss kind of the networking, the physical contact that comes with being our peers and our colleagues, the serendipitous moments, the kind of bumping into each other in the hall or between sessions. But there's a lot that's been done for today that's going to help counteract that. But on the other side, there's huge benefits we might be experiencing, which we're going to explore in a little bit. The third thing, though, that I found super exciting, and I hope doesn't go back, is this beautiful sense of care and compassion that has come from being invited into each other's homes. So we've all been involved in these kind of Zoom sessions and team sessions, and we're getting to get insights into how our colleagues live. We realize that they have screaming kids and dogs that jump up on their laps, that they've got piles of washing sitting in the back corner of their room, just like we do. And I think that that explosion of care and compassion is a huge indicator of where we're going next. As I said, there is this experience that we are sharing over the next 2 days, this experience of what an event might look like. And to kind of give you a sense of contrast about what this looks like versus what we had last year, I just happened to have a shot of an event I spoke at up on the in Vietnam back all the way back in 2019. And it was one of the best events I've ever spoken at. It was the most beautiful room. It was held at the Hilton Hotel. They had this huge LED wall. It would have been like, I don't know, 4 meters high, 8 meters wide. And this is the view. It was taken from the back of the room, looking across the audience towards the screen at the front. The thing is, if I had been there, or if you had been there, this is what I would have looked like on the stage. I would have been this tiny little dot in the distance. It's kind of funny that if you think about it, the experience that we can have today, the experience that you're going to have between yourself and the speakers is potentially far more intimate than what you would have got in an environment like this. You know, first of all, we kind of remove the audience, you know, wherever you are, it's kind of just you and me in this moment. And weirdly enough, I know that we kind of rely so much on technology to make events like this happen, but in some ways we're less reliant on technology today than we are in an event like this. We need so much technology to fill the space. We need lights, we need screens to make up for the fact that I'm this tiny little dot in the distance. So we can kind of get rid of all that as well. But really what we want to do is something like this. We want something where we can actually be far more intimate with each other. And I believe that this intimacy is a sign of opportunity. It is a business opportunity for all of us. If we think about for a second, just the nature of human evolution and how we have evolved and adapted over thousands and thousands of years, there is actually, there is a journey that we have been on. And this journey was initially defined by survival. It was defined by the ability to have enough food for our tribe to eat. But at some point, a few thousand years ago, we went through the Industrial Revolution. And during that Industrial Revolution, we built the technologies that allowed us to survive en masse. Suddenly, food wasn't a shortage anymore. And as a result of those kind of technologies that we created during the Agricultural Revolution, our desires changed. We fast forward a few thousand years and we no longer desired the wheat and the grain and the basic resources. We were now looking for the bread. This is the Industrial Revolution. We started to create the products and services. And over the last couple of hundred years, our desires have changed again. We no longer want just the bread. We expect the bread when we go to the supermarket. We now want the ambient experience of sitting in a cafe with some nice music and eating a custom-made sandwich. So we've gone from an economy based on resources to being one based on products and services to now one being based on experiences. And what we see is that at each point in this journey, there has been individuals and organizations that have become very wealthy and have done very well out of this transition, this change in people's desires, this change in human desires. We go from the old landowners, the lords of Europe, who basically made their money by staking a claim to large chunks of land. We have the industrialists who made their money through the Industrial Revolution, massive, turning out massive amounts of product. And right now we're at this point where this revolution has been taken over by the machines that can help us think and create these experiences for us. But if we were to really think about it, it's no longer just the experience that we want. In fact, if there's anything that we have learnt over the last 6 months, it's not the experience that we want. It's not the sandwich that we want. It's not the cafe that we want. What we really want is other people to share it with. What we really crave more than anything else is this sense of human connection. And the organizations that work out how to scale human connection are the ones that are going to be the wealthy organizations of the future. I share this with you because in some ways, today is an opportunity to experiment with scaled human connection. This event allows us to actually reach an audience that's far bigger, far more geographically diverse than any physical event has been able to attend, that we've been able to attract in the past. We can actually have speakers beam in from all over the world. We've got speakers coming in over the next 2 days from California. We've got them from Boston, Miami. We've got people from the UK, as well as local content from Brisbane, from Melbourne. Realistically, we couldn't have had all those speakers if this had been a physical event. The cost of getting all those speakers together, flying them into Melbourne, the time it would have taken for those people to attend would have been so astronomical that would be unfeasible. So this is what I want for you out of this next couple of days, is I want you to have this experience. I want you to not just enjoy the content, because there's going to be some incredible content, but I want you to enjoy the context in which this is taking place. And I want you to embody it fully. And what that means is I want you to engage in the chat. I would love you to be a part of the networking cafe. Some of these things may feel unfamiliar, but it's only through experimenting with them that we'll actually find out what it is that we really want. And as I said, at the end of the day, this is not just about the experience that you have in the moment. It's about identifying the business opportunities of the future. If you think through those things that we have really loved over the last 6 months, these emerging desires that have happened for the human race, those are the things that provide strategic opportunities for the future. If we can find the intersection of those emerging desires and our existing business products and services, then they are the things that will actually guide us towards the strategic opportunities in the future. So I'm going to be with you now for the next couple of days. I've got a great pleasure in introducing our speakers and working with Shannon over the course of this event. But I just want to say it's just such a pleasure to be here with you, and I really hope you get so much out of the next 2 days. Back to you, Shannon.